When Antonieta needed fibroid removal surgery, we went through a full process, from pre-approval to navigating reimbursements. And today, we're breaking it all down so you can see exactly how it works. We'll also share how we unexpectedly avoided paying our $5,000 deductible.
From what our policy covered to the unexpected surprises along the way, this video will help you understand how international health insurance can work when living abroad or seeking medical care in Mexico, and how to avoid costly mistakes. If you haven't seen our surgery video yet, we'll link it below, but here's a quick recap. In August, I underwent fibroid removal surgery in Mexico City after striking out with doctors in our hometown of San Miguel de Allende.
We researched top doctors nationwide and found the best fit. Antonieta stayed one night at Médica Sur Hospital, followed by 5 nights at the Holiday Inn and Suites within the hospital campus. Then we spent one more night at the Crown Plaza Tlalnepantla as we made our way home. By the way, if you're interested in reviews on those hotels, check our playlist. We'll link it below.
We chose Mexico City because doctors in San Miguel all recommended a full hysterectomy, and that's not something that I wanted to do. But at Médica Sur, the top hospital in Mexico, I was able to do what I really wanted to do, which was to keep my uterus intact and only remove the fibroid. The surgery itself went smoothly, but recovery was harder than I ever imagined. What was supposed to be a 3-day trip turned into a week because I was in a lot of pain and I needed additional treatment, and I just needed to stay longer to make sure. Well, first of all, I couldn't travel because of the pain, and I also wanted to be close to the doctor in case any complications.
Our health insurance is with Redbridge. We originally had a different provider, but when they shut down, Redbridge accepted us, pre-existing conditions and all. That was a game changer because Antonieta has a torn hip labrum. Most international health insurance plans exclude pre-existing conditions, so this was a rare opportunity to get coverage for any hip issues in the future.
Here's a quick breakdown of what our policy includes. A $3 million max benefit per insured per year, worldwide hospitalization coverage, US coverage with an extra supplement to our premium, lifetime renewal guarantee, a $5,000 deductible, but with waivers including $1,000 off for surgeries in Mexico, and coverage for major illnesses like cancer screenings and organ transplants.
Most plans cover serious illnesses like cancer or heart disease, but what set this plan apart was the pre-existing condition coverage. Redbridge made an exception when our old provider shut down, allowing us to carry over our existing conditions. That made all the difference.
Now let's talk about how claims and reimbursements worked. Most international insurance providers, including Redbridge, require pre-approval or pre-certification for everything. Our initial doctor visit and MRI weren't reimbursed because we didn't submit pre-certification paperwork. There's a reason for that, which we'll explain in a little bit.
Once the doctor diagnosed the fibroid and recommended surgery, we filed all required documentation for reimbursement. We had to wait for pre-certification approval from Redbridge before proceeding. For doctor visits, we submitted facturas, which are official government invoices. For surgery, we needed a detailed cost breakdown on the doctor's official letterhead signed by him.
The insurance provider typically takes up to 5 business days to respond, but in our case, we got approval in 4 days. After surgery, I needed physical therapy. Since it wasn't part of the original cost breakdown, it required separate pre-approval, but this time we got it in just 1 day. For medication reimbursements, we had to submit prescriptions, detailed doctor's letters, which were a pain to get, and matching invoices.
The reimbursement process took about 4 months. The biggest challenge? Getting doctors to provide the necessary letters. That process alone took nearly 3 months. Some medications weren't reimbursed because the insurance argued they weren't directly related to the diagnosis.
So what medications were covered and what wasn't? Do you remember? Because you really did a lot of the paperwork here.
Everything except for medications that were prescribed for pain.
Oh, because I couldn't sleep for days, and so I asked the doctor for a prescription to help me sleep. But the insurance argued that that medication is for mental health reasons, and that they would not cover it.
The total was, I mean, we'll get to the numbers in a little bit, but the total for all the medications that weren't reimbursed came out to about $250.
Here's how some of the numbers broke down. Some variations are due to exchange rate changes between when we started the process and when things were reimbursed.
Hospital cost approved. Originally, it was $7,124. The insurance paid $9,246, adjusted for medications administered. The surgeon originally quoted $1,477, and he was paid $1,397. Again, the difference is the exchange rate at the time that he was paid, almost 4 months later.
Yeah.
The surgeon's assistant, $237, and he was paid $230. The anesthesiologist quoted $343 and was paid $333. Lab work and medications claims, $482, and we were only reimbursed $259, leaving an out-of-pocket difference of $223. And this is the medications that weren't reimbursed, that weren't approved by the insurance. And the initial doctor visit and MRI were not reimbursed, and that was $210. Since we had the surgery in Mexico City, we had additional travel expenses, basically medical tourism, and they break down as follows. Accommodations, 7 nights for $743. Food and coffee, $370. Gas and flat tire repair, $63. Tolls and parking, $28. Groceries, $22. And that was just basically some bananas, some snacks, just
Crackers,
miscellaneous
things like that, yeah.
And so the grand total comes to $1,226. So summing all of this up now, we're gonna share with you the grand total, including insurance premiums. First, there was medical expenses not covered, $223. The doctor visit and MRI at $210. Travel expenses, $1,226. Monthly insurance premium, $556. The total out of pocket for this surgery came out to $2,215. And like we said before, the most frustrating part, tracking down letters from busy doctors. It took months of back and forth to get what the insurance needed. If we didn't speak Spanish and lived far away, we might have just given up.
Yeah, I think we would have.
Yeah. Could this be the strategy the insurance companies use? Wear people down until they stop pursuing claims? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. But we stuck with it because, as you know from our video about Mexican culture, everything moves a bit slower here. We weren't surprised and took it all in stride. Eventually, we got everything we needed.
I also think that one of the important things that we did that helped was that you would write to the doctor's assistant or even the doctor, and they would respond and say, yes, we'll get it to you soon, right? Mm-hmm. And then because you're so patient, you just let them do their thing, and it could be weeks before they ever sent anything. And instead of harassing them every day going, we're still waiting for that letter, can you please send that letter, we're still waiting for the letter, you didn't do that. You just let them do it when they were ready, and then they finally just did it. Yeah. And then we would be, oh yes, we got one more thing.
Right.
And then let's ask for the next thing that we need to get. And so patience is the most important thing. You cannot get frustrated, you cannot get angry, you could not keep harassing them every day. You just have to wait and be patient.
Yeah, and even after we waited 3 weeks to get a response from the primary surgeon's assistant, for example, we still had to go through a couple of iterations because she sent something, we looked at it, and it was not what we were asking for or what the insurance was asking for. So then we would turn around and respond to her, usually within the same day, because we knew the sooner we responded, the sooner we'd hear back from them, maybe 2-3 weeks later. And that happened over and over again until 3 months later when we finally got the letter that we felt comfortable submitting to the insurance company.
One of the biggest surprises for us was that Redbridge waived the $5,000 deductible. At first, I was like, I don't understand. Why are they waiving the deductible? Insurance companies are not known to be nice.
Yeah.
So normally they only do this after 3 claim-free years, but we were about 4 months shy of that. So I didn't think that rule applied.
Yeah, we had just assumed that that wasn't going to be our situation.
For some reason, they made an exception for us, something we didn't expect, but definitely appreciated. And by the way, this is the reason why we didn't get the pre-approval for the initial doctor visit and MRI, because we weren't sure if we would be proceeding with the surgery next. If the doctor had said, let's keep an eye on it for another year, we would have blown our chances of having our deductible waived for the surgery.
And we still would have paid the $210 anyway.
Yeah, and I think another reason was because we thought, if the surgery is less than $5,000, because we've never had any major surgery in Mexico before, so we didn't know what things cost. We thought if it costs less than our deductible, then we'll just pay for it and we won't use the insurance. But it was way more than the $5,000.
Yeah, but we didn't know until we went to the doctor's office to
Yeah.
have that consultation and that's the other thing, the way medicine works in Mexico is like you're going to a car shop and you're gonna get an itemized list of all the different services and parts and a full breakdown. And so that's what we got from the doctor, and then we quickly realized it's gonna be way more than $5,000. And he said we should proceed with the surgery. And so at that point, we contacted the insurance company to get the ball rolling. But at that point, it was too late to get reimbursed for the doctor visit and an MRI. Another thing that made a huge difference was not having to pay the biggest expenses up front. The hospital and doctors worked directly with the insurance, meaning we weren't on the hook for thousands of dollars while waiting for reimbursement. That was a huge relief, especially considering it took the insurance about 4 months to settle everything.
Yeah. These experiences really drove home how valuable the right health insurance can be. So if you're considering a policy, do your research and make sure it covers what you actually need. So here are some things that we wish we knew before starting this process. Some medications weren't covered, and we wasted time chasing documentation that didn't help. I should have pushed for an extra hospital night instead of just one, because recovering at the hotel the second night was much harder than I expected. I should have stayed in the hospital one more night.
The doctor had suggested 2 nights, but the insurance only approved one. And we should have pushed back and insisted on that second night.
Because we didn't push back. We just said, okay, well, if they think that's what it is, and we'll just go with that. And finally, we paid for physical therapy out of pocket at first. Next time, we'll ask if the therapist or a doctor can bill insurance directly. Acting as intermediaries wasted a lot of time, and we were out of that money for 4 months. Granted, in this case, it wasn't a huge amount, around $80, but still.
It was a lot of time wasted. I mean, we were on the phone, texting back and forth with the therapist, and it was harder than it should have been because she wasn't experienced with dealing with our particular insurance company.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of time for $80. I can see how so many people would have just said, forget it, we'll just pay the $80 and move on.
Yeah, but it was worth every penny. So I'm glad that we did the physical therapy and didn't go without it.
Yeah.
Because it was needed.
Yeah, but next time we'll just hook the therapist up with the insurance company and let them figure it out. And our tips for anyone considering private insurance in Mexico are: get international health insurance. Get it. It's an investment in peace of mind. You don't want to need it, but when you do, you'll be grateful. Mexico has excellent medical care, and it's not just Mexico. We've learned that there are many countries around the world, most of the European countries, Malaysia and Thailand, in Asia. So it is worth it. You don't have to fly to the United States to get treatment. Another thing is consider local only policies. If you don't travel internationally, a policy that covers you in Mexico or in your country of residence can be much cheaper. Compare options. And stay organized. Scan and save every document. Prescriptions, lab reports, invoices, doctor's letters. Having everything in one place made a huge difference for us. We had it all scanned and saved in folders in our computer. And that really, really helped a lot.
Yeah. If you're considering private health insurance in Mexico, research it thoroughly and know what's covered before you actually need to use it.
Let us know in the comments if you've had experience with health insurance in Mexico or in other parts of the world. We are really curious to hear your thoughts about that. Or if you have any questions for us, feel free to leave them in the comments as well.
And if you need any help or a recommendation with an insurance broker, we would highly recommend the insurance broker that we work with. And I think it's really helpful when you don't speak Spanish, because our insurance broker tells you in English all the things that you need to do and basically does all the interpreting for you. And she filled out all the forms and all of those things, right?
Yeah, very, very good resource to have. She was awesome. She even filed the claims for us.
Yeah.
And that was great.
So if you need a recommendation, let us know and we will give you her information. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on healthcare, travel, and life abroad. And we will see you in the next video. Bye. Everybody.